Hi, welcome back. In the first part of the video, we cut out and painted most of the parts needed to build the bank. So if you're wondering how we got this far, watch part 1. We're going to start this video by finishing the detail painting on what we have. So, here's the front of our pig all painted, and I'm going to do a step now that we probably should have done before we started painting, and that is I want to relieve the back, not the front, but from the back. I want to relieve the bottom of the pig's mouth, and I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle in there with a knife, and that's just so when a coin is going in, it gives it a little more clearance, and it won't get caught. And this is a very important step. It could mean the difference between your bank working and not. So don't forget it like I did before I started painting. But it's like I said, as long as we do it before we assemble the bank, we're good. So just use a good sharp knife. And from the back, not the front, relieve the bottom of the mouth a little bit. As long as you're using a sharp knife, you should have no problem doing this. Okay, so now we're ready for some assembly. So we'll start with the sides. We'll take our base. The back is the narrower section. And we want to make sure that when we take the sides, the hole is at the top facing front. So we'll put a little glue. Keep it flush with the back. And drop a nail into it. Same thing on the other side. Again, keep the hole towards the front. Keep it flush with the back. So while I was off camera, I puttied the holes and touched up the paint to make it look a little better. And now I'm going to cut about 6 inches of 1/4 inch dowel, and that will be used as a pivot for the arms. And I know that this is going to be a little long. We'll cut it to size once we fit it in place and know what that size is exactly. There we go. Stick this arm on. Put it through. If you got any paint or anything in the hole, it may pay you to ream it out a little bit, because they can be a little tight. It is about 4 1/8. And now I know what size to cut this. Okay, so at the bandsaw, I'm going to cut this to length and rip it down the middle, so I end up with 2 half cylinders. So now that we have our piece cut and sanded, we need to cut out a piece to go on top of it. So we'll mark it out here, cut it out on the bandsaw. And now I'll find the center of this piece. 4 1/4, so it is 2 1/8. I'm going to use a 1/4 to guesstimate where I want my hole to be. And using a 1-inch Forstner bit, I'm going to drill out that hole. So next, I need to mark this so I can cut the front of it out. I'll run a piece of sandpaper over that to smooth it out. So the alternative to using a dowel, of course, is to use a piece of 3/4 by 1 1/2 inch board and just cut the edges off it so you make a half of an octagon. Now this hole here is big enough for an American 1/4 to fit in. So any coin that size or smaller will be able to go in there. I'm going to take this next and spray it with some primer. And I'll probably just leave it gray since it represents a trough. So first things first, let's mark this dowel. And we can put some glue on the ends to make sure that it doesn't move. So unfortunately, while I was gluing the arms on, the camera died, but there they are, all glued on. Now, the next thing to do is to fit the trough that's going to be holding the coin into the pig's hands, so that when you push down on the long arm, it comes up to his mouth and he swallows the coin. Now, this is where it gets tricky. You have to make sure that the trough is at just the right angle for the coin to fall into his mouth. And you can almost see it when you lift it up. And you can check it. Nope, that's a little too high. And that might be it there. Not quite. Yeah, I guess it is. So once we think we know where it is, we can mark it. Put a little bit of glue on it. Set it back in place. On the marks, you just need to fiddle with it a little bit to make sure that you've got it right. And that's close. A little higher. That's it. Check it again. It's very touchy, so you want to make sure that you have it right. And then put a couple of nails in it to hold it. Start with one. And you can check it again. That seems good. I'm going to put another nail. And I'll fill the holes and touch them up with some extra paint that we have. Now, troubleshooting this, if you find that the coin's not going through for some reason, it's getting caught all the time in his mouth, it may be that you haven't dug out the back of this enough. So you'll want to get in there with a knife and just angle that a little more. That often helps. Also, if you find that, I haven't had a problem with this, but if you find that it's swinging back and forth too much when you're lifting it, and that's why the coin's not going in, you could cut some small strips of wood and glue them on the axle, not so that it's touching the box, but so that it's close, so that it won't swing back and forth as you lift it. Alright, so the next thing we have to do is make a top for the back. And I'm going to do a little painting here to make it look like slop. It is, after all, supposed to be a trough. So using the same stock that I used to make the sides, I'll make a top for the back. Loves to eat coins. And if you remember, we made the back a ½ inch shorter than the sides, and that's so when the time comes you can get your money out. And there it is. This was a fun project, and I hope you'll try it. Of course, this is just a starting point. With a little imagination, I'm sure you could work out a way to have the eyelids go up and down, or the mouth open and close when you push down on the handle. Or you could put a bell inside, and every time a coin is dropped in, the bell would ring. Possibilities are almost endless. If you enjoy watching my videos, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.